What up, guys? It's Maddie. How you doing? This is just for fun. Sorry about the draft videos not having any sound, so I owe you guys drafts. So what I did was I bought 2 draft packs. So to make it up for you for the first one having no sound, I'm gonna do 2 more. But first, we're gonna play a stupid bad deck that occasionally can combo out, and this is a kind of deck that I love playing. This is gonna sound really dumb because it's obviously much not on the same level, but I took a page from Legacy here, and I know that's not gonna be clearly visible when you look at this deck, but here's what I thought. I wanted a deck that I had 2 game plans, right? Because I tried building this as a straight combo deck, and it never lived long enough to work, right? So my workaround was to have an alternate game plan built into the deck. So my thought was, you know how like Stoneforge, like Esper Deathblade in Legacy, you know, it's just a value deck, but it also has the backup plan of Stoneforge for Batterskull or whatever as a win con, so a searchable win con. So but it can be kind of a toolbox, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. So here's the my Brood combo deck. It's in blue-white here in standard, and there are some things that are questionable. This, by the way, is a super budget deck. This whole deck, you can buy this entire deck for less than 3 tickets, let's say. This deck costs nothing. And it's not competitive, but it's hella fun. And I've comboed off like once or twice with the deck, and I enjoyed it very immensely when I did that. So here's the combo. Combo is have Altar of the Brood in play, have Midnight Guard in play, cast Retraction Helix on Midnight Guard, play Ornithopter. So when you do that, the Ornithopter will trigger Altar of the Brood, milling your opponent 1. Tap your Midnight Guard to bounce Ornithopter back to your hand with Retraction Helix. When you replay Ornithopter for 0, Midnight Guard will automatically untap. So this lets you mill your opponent out in one shot if you have all 4 cards and they don't kill your Midnight Guard or Ornithopter or Altar in response to you doing this. So it's a very weak combo. It's easily disrupted, and it takes 4 cards. So this is not a viable tournament deck because it is not consistent enough, and there are not the deck manipulation cards in standard to make this a consistent deck. There's no Serum Visions, there's no Ponder, Brainstorm, none of that, right? No, there's no top, nothing to make that work, right? So what can we do? Well, we can make a control-ish deck. My first take on this deck was very different, but I just played a lot of sweepers and stuff like that, and just tried to keep the board clear until I could draw my combo. And I was using Dig Through Time, but the deck doesn't have enough cheap plays, and you're using really enchantments a lot more than instants or sorceries. So to get to Dig Through Time is just not going to happen, even though I have the 4 Evolving Wilds in there. What you would really need is the Wilds and Flooded Strands or something like that, and I'm not investing in those. They're too expensive at this point for me. So here's what I did instead. We put the backup plan. I figured since we're playing Altars and Ornithopters already as cheap artifacts, it's a pretty minor hit to play Darksteel Citadel in a 2-color deck with only 1 card that has 2 of a color. Why don't we throw a couple Ensoul artifacts in there? Because there are some decks that just can't beat this card. And yeah, sometimes you will get a free win where you play turn 1 Ornithopter Island, turn 2 plains Ensoul Artifact Ornithopter attack and just win. You know, it happens pretty often. Now, with 4 Heliod's Pilgrims in the deck, being able to search up Ensoul, that makes it a lot more consistent. They also search up Spectra Ward, which just, you know, turns your dude into a, you know, protection from everything, really hard to get rid of threat. I love this. I actually played this combo in Limited, and it was so much fun that I said this has got to play in Constructed. Unfortunately, in White and Blue, there's not too many good hexproof creatures, you know, where you can cast this without worrying about removal, and it doesn't quite work out. But it's a decent backup plan. Also, Pilgrim can search up Bellstrike as a removal spell, and for some reason online people don't understand that you can pay 6 and untap. For the most part, from the games I've played so far, no one has actually done that, and that's pretty awesome. So but it's nice to be able to search up either a removal spell or a buff, you know, or a way to win, you know, with the Pilgrim. So this is what I was thinking, kind of alluding to before with Stoneforge. This is kind of like ghetto Stoneforge Mystic, right? There are probably more ways to make this card work, and I can't wait to see this card in other formats. I think it's a really powerful card, and it's kind of underrated at the moment. Midnight Guard, not the best creature, just there for the combo. Suspension Field is there for removal. Banishing Light is there for removal. Negate is there to protect your Midnight Guard the turn you're going off, or just because it's generally good in this format. There's just so many cards worth negating that it's almost as good as Counterspell. And for card draw, we're playing 4 Divinations and 3 Font of Fortunes, so 7 draw 2 effects to kind of like get through the deck and hopefully draw the combo before you die miserably. Also, all these enchantments work really well with Altar because they're like another mill. A lot of people are playing self-mill decks too, and I found that I have milled out a couple people because there's a lot of stalling here. In our mana base, we've got the 4 Tranquil Coves. Before I had the Citadel and Soul package in there, I was playing Fountain, Radiant Fountain. And so, you know, there's a lot of ways to stall and stall and stall, and, you know, if the opponent's deck doesn't kill you quickly, you know, like I was playing Blue-Black Control, and unless it got out Ashiok, it could not beat me. With Ashiok, it creamed me, but without it, forget it. They take way too long. They play dig through times, they play stuff like that, they go through their deck really fast, they get milled out, you know. Sideboard, you know, basically more of the same stuff to just kind of like tweak by the matchup, and then Aether Spouts, which is the closest thing to a Wrath in blue. If I haven't looked up the price of it, so don't judge me for saying this, but I haven't bought into End Hostilities, but if I could afford that, I would probably play that instead of Aether Spouts, although that Aether Spouts does work really well with Altar. Like, you bounce their team, they put them on top of their deck, and then you play like an Evolving Wilds and mill them too, and they lose their guys. So it does kind of work out. Plus, for some reason, at least online, nobody ever expects Aether Spouts. It just, like, I wreck people with it all the time. It just happens all the time. So I don't know if that's particular to online, that people don't play around it or what, but it's a card. I like it. So I'm gonna see if I can get a decent match in with this deck. This is not a competitive deck. This is a fun deck, so don't be surprised if we lose all of our games here.